Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today, Embracing AI for Reading Instruction. Before we turn it over to our great presenter, I'm going to thank our sponsors for this webinar, Burlington English, and turn it over to Robert Breitbart.
Well, hello, everyone, and greetings. It's so good to be with everyone today. You are in for a big treat. Laurie is just one of the finest presenters I get a chance to see every year. And on the hottest topic probably out there, along with the maybe neck and neck, of course, is workforce and how does adult education continue to play a vibrant part in that moving forward with hoped for reauthorization of WIOA and everything else that might be coming down the line from DC and from your own state. And with that, Burlington English is ready to make sure that you can say, yes, your students, your adult learners are ready to work. And that's because we've got a fantastic new course out called, well, guess what? Made it easy for everybody, ready to work. And this is a fast-paced boot camp style course that makes sure that your learners have, the essential skills, the soft skills, ready to get the job, to keep that job, advance on that job. It's 3 levels, so it's going to be everything you need for all of your learners: career exploration, employability skills, digital literacy, financial literacy. It's everything that you need for classroom instruction or in a workplace setting. It obviously has the student component. We have 168 hours in a week, and all of them can be a classroom wherever a learner is with Burlington ready to work. Accent modification, the vocabulary needed for career-specific applications, everything you need to get started with a course planner. It's all for accountability reasons. It's all right there for you in a digital portfolio and progress, easy to monitor for both learners and yourself, providers alike. So again, hope you reach out to us and find out more with Burlington Ready to Work. And as always, we're here to help however we can. So again, with that, I genuinely am super excited to hear what Laurie has to share. And with that, I'll turn it over to our good friend also, Steve Schmidt. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Robert. We appreciate Burlington English and thank you for sponsoring today's webinar. I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to introduce today one of the foremost experts in adult education reading instruction. I've known Laurie for years. She was involved in the Student Achievement and Reading Initiative since its inception back in 2007, 2008. And for those of you who don't know Lori, she is a professional development specialist at the Adult Learning Resource Center. And she currently provides training and technical assistance for teachers and adult education program administrators, primarily in the areas of ESOL standards and curriculum, IELCE, evidence-based reading instruction, and digital literacy. Well, buckle in because it's going to be a great workshop today. Lori's going to be sharing a lot of great information about how to make the most use of AI in reading instruction. But Laurie, we're so glad that you're here this afternoon, and thank you so much for presenting today's webinar.
Thank you for that introduction, Steve. So let me share my screen and okay. Share sounds isn't on. Well, we're going to give it a try. Okay, let's go ahead and share. It was on before, so we will try. So this presentation is embracing AI for reading instruction. So we are going to visit a number of AI sites and look at a lot of AI-powered tools for teachers that are working with either ABE or ESOL students on reading skills. And my contact information is on this first slide. COAVE will be sending out a copy of the slides after the presentation, and you will have all of the links to the various tools that I'm showing are on the slides that you'll receive. So my agenda for this presentation is to first, we'll start with just a little bit of terminology. Some of you probably have lots of experience with AI, and others may be new to it. So just to keep us all on the same page. And then we will look at some tools that could be useful for teaching each reading skill. So alphabetics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension. And at the end, just a couple of reminders about safety and security when using AI. So before we get into the AI, let's think about reading instruction itself. And most of the reading research that's been done in recent years, and even going back quite a ways, talks about 4 interrelated skills. And those are alphabetics, which are the sounds and letters and the word parts that are needed for students to be able, or for readers to be able to decode words that they encounter while reading. Fluency, which is reading accurately, smoothly, and quickly enough so that the meaning of the words on the page doesn't drop out of your working memory. So not speed reading per se, but reading quickly enough that you can hold meaning in your brain as you read. Vocabulary, of course, we all know is recognizing word meanings. And then comprehension being understanding main ideas, details, being able to draw inferences from the text, make predictions, get understanding from the text. So some helpful AI terminology before we start. Obviously, there's lots of technical vocabulary floating around out there, but I chose a few because they're words that I'll use during this presentation and just to make sure everybody is able to follow easily. So we'll start with LLM. It happens to be the initials of my name, but in this case, it's standing for Large Language Model. And that is a type of an AI model that has been trained on an enormous amount of text data. And that allows the model to understand and then to generate human-like text, which could involve generating something to read. It could be performing a task like translation of languages. It could be answering questions in a human-like way, etc. And the way that we talk to this AI model or this LLM is through a chatbot like ChatGPT or Gemini or one of the many others that exist now. So what is a chatbot? Well, a chatbot is a computer program that simulates human conversation with users. So when we chat with a chatbot, it's like we're having a conversation with the AI LLM. It's like having a conversation with another human in many cases. We engage with a chatbot by giving it prompts. So prompt is the last item on this list. And a prompt is nothing more than a question that you ask the chatbot, a statement you give it, a command, some other input, so that you can get it to produce what you want, okay? And I will show you some different chatbots and different prompt examples as we go through this presentation. So we are going to begin with using AI for alphabetics. And just to remind you, what we mean by alphabetics is the ability to recognize the sounds of English, the letters that are used in its alphabet, how the sounds correspond to the letters, how words can be broken apart into smaller segments, word parts, syllables, patterns, bases, or what are sometimes called root words, prefixes, suffixes, that kind of thing. All of that is what we mean by reading alphabetics, and it's an important skill for our adult ed students to be able to attain, let's just say. So one way to get started with using AI for instruction on anything, if you are newer to using an AI tool and you're not sure what it can do for you, you can just ask the chatbot that very question. So you could, for example, ask ChatGPT, how can you help me teach whatever the skill is, in this case, in this example, phonics, to my adult basic education students. But, you know, if you're teaching ESOL students, put in ESOL, it will understand you, who read at about a, you know, whatever level. So that's a prompt. And I'm going to go to ChatGPT and show you what that would look like. So I am only showing you today the free versions of all of these tools. Some of them have paid versions available, but I don't have any paid accounts myself, and I only use what's out there for free. And so you are seeing the free accounts. So I'm in ChatGPT. It asks me very politely, where should we begin? And I am going to put in the prompt that I just showed you on the screen. How can you help me teach phonics? Because maybe I don't know what ChatGPT can do for me as a teacher. So I click the up arrow and it's going to generate a response. It's going to tell me how it can help me. Okay, so you can see on the screen, that's a great question and a very important one. It's always very, you know, validating. ChatGPT is very friendly in its tone. So it tells me it can assess and identify needs, provide lesson plans and sequences, and it gives me some examples here. It tells me it can model instructional routines. It can create printable or digital materials for me. Wow. It can connect phonics to meaning and vocabulary, etc., etc. And then it always is going to end its response by asking you if you want something else. Okay. So it asks, would you like me to start by creating a sample short vowel lesson? Okay. So that's one way to get started. If you're looking for ideas of how a chatbot might help you prepare some lesson materials for using for alphabetics, I am going to go back to my slides and let's think about some of the specific skills that our students might need to learn if you're working on alphabetics with them. So one of the skills they might need is how to break multisyllabic words into syllables. Okay, that's commonly something that challenges our adult education students. So one way to use AI to support you in this endeavor is to use one of the chatbots, such as ChatGPT or maybe Gemini, which is Google's AI chatbot. Claude is another one. There are others. And you can prompt it to produce a lesson plan specifically to teach students to break those multisyllabic words into smaller parts, into syllables. So an example of a prompt to get a chatbot to do that for you would be here, like what's in purple on the slide. I teach reading to adults who read at X level. Please give me a lesson plan to teach my students to break multisyllabic words into syllables, okay? You need to always tell the chatbot you're teaching adults an approximate level of material that you're looking for, and then the specifics of what you want it to produce. So if I go back to my ChatGPT. I could continue the same chat that I began, and I could ask it to do just what I showed you on the screen. Okay, you teach reading, give me a lesson plan to teach my students to do this, to break the multisyllabic words into syllables. And it will give me what I ask for. Sometimes it gives you exactly what you have in mind. Other times, you might have to go back and ask it to refine or do something different, or you might take part of what it gives you and make some revisions yourself. But let's see what it told us. Lesson plan. It gives me an objective, a time. Now, I could have put that in my prompt. I could have said I need a lesson plan for approximately, a 2-hour lesson plan, or, a 30-minute plan or something like that. It chose 60. Tells me what materials I might need, gives me a warm-up to review some vowel patterns, how to do it, gives me explicit instruction, okay? That is the recommended technique for teaching basic reading skills, and ChatGPT knows that and gives me the explicit instructions, okay, as a teacher. And it's going to have me teach the rules, gives me guided practice. Here are some, it provided me with sample words. ChatGPT is actually brilliant at doing this kind of lesson planning. Independent practice, application, wrap up. So all the components of a good lesson, from objective down to wrap up and review. And check it out, an optional extension, okay? And then, just like I said, ChatGPT is going to ask you if you want something else. Not all of the chatbots do that. It's a feature I appreciate in ChatGPT because sometimes it asks me something that I hadn't thought of and that I really do want. So it wonders, would I like it to create student practice worksheet? All right. So I could just tell it like, yes, please, and it would do that. All right. Going back to my slides. Here's just another example of a prompt. Okay, I want to work on decoding multisyllabic words using common word parts, prefixes, bases, suffixes. I want to focus on syllables that follow a consonant vowel consonant, CVC, or a vowel consonant E, VCE pattern. Can you create a plan? This time I asked it for a 3-lesson sequence. And I specifically asked it to contain the words that I can use to model the patterns and words to give students to practice decoding. Okay, so I'm not going to show you that. You've seen a little demonstration in ChatGPT, but when you get these slides, there is a link to an example of the chat that ChatGPT produced for me based on this, if you want to look at that. So let's move from alphabetics to fluency. Alphabetics and fluency kind of overlap a little bit in terms of the skills that students need. By fluency, we are talking about the skill that we use to read quickly with good accuracy. So reading the words that are actually there on the page, okay? And with phrasing that supports the meaning of the text. So we're recognizing the words that should be chunked together or phrased together in a meaningful way. We're pausing where it makes sense to do so. And as I mentioned before, we're reading quickly enough that the meaning of the text can be held in our working memory as we go. If you read too slowly, meaning drops out, and you get to the end of a long sentence and you say, wait, I forgot what this is about. Okay. So that is what fluency is. And let's take a look at some AI tools that can support your work as a teacher and your students' work as they're improving their reading skills, their fluency skills. So first of all, working on fluency means you've got to have texts for your students to read. And the most common way for readers to practice fluency is by reading aloud. Okay, so they read aloud texts. And I can tell you from personal experience, I used to spend many hours searching for texts that were the right length, the right topic, the right difficulty level, to use with my students for fluency practice. And sometimes I had to write the text. Sometimes I would find a text, but I'd have to revise it, make it easier, make it harder, so that it would be just right for my students to work with for fluency practice. And AI has revolutionized your ability to find text that you need for fluency practice. So many chatbots and AI tools can generate a text for you. But when you go to generate the text, you need to provide important details, such as the level of the text that you want. And you can specify, a grade level or a lexile level. Chatbots seem to be very well aware of what we mean by a grade level or a lexile. In the case of ESOL students and figuring out grade levels, that might be a little trickier. I do find generally it's helpful to put in descriptions like, I have adult English language learners who are beginners or who are, intermediate, and kind of go from there. You want to tell the chatbot what length of text. Depending on the type of fluency activity that you're doing, you may want a shorter text or a longer text. So you can request that from the chatbot. If you have a topic in mind, you've got to tell that to the chatbot. Make sure you tell it that this text is for adult readers, so that it doesn't make an assumption that it should be for children. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate a different chatbot here. This is a very nice, simple to use chatbot called Claude AI. And in Claude, so again, this is a free tool, and I have I've already signed in. Look at how pleasant it is. Hi, Laurie, how are you? I love it. How can I help you today? So this is the box where I paste my prompt, or I type my prompt, because I've got all my prompts saved to my clipboard. I'm going to ask it to do something kind of fun. So I don't know if you were aware, but today is an important national holiday. It is National Moldy Cheese Day. So for all you brie and camembert lovers out there, today is the day for you. So I was curious about this, and I thought maybe, students would be curious. So I'm going to ask Claude to write a 300 to 350 word text. So that's going to wind up being about a page of text about National Moldy Cheese Day. And I specified a grade level, a 6th grade reading level for adult readers. All right. And I click the arrow and it's going to generate the text. The magic will happen. It takes a second. We're waiting. We see the lines appearing. And here they come. And there it is. Okay, so we've got a title, we have some paragraphs. Just, reading through it, it looks to be something that is around a 6th grade level. I'm not seeing too many words that I think students at that level are going to really, struggle with. And it looks to be within the number of word range that I asked for. And down at the bottom here, so Claude is a very simple tool. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles the way some of the other chatbots do. And I can copy using this little clipboard icon here. I can copy this text to my clipboard so that I could use it. I can paste it on a document or paste it, onto a slide. I can, probably, use it in my lesson plan, whatever. So I'm just going to paste it because we are going to use this text for something else shortly. But going back to our slides, I'm going to give you a chance right now to give generating a text a try. Now, I know for some of you, this is already old hat. You've done this a million times and you do it every day. But if you're newer to this, or maybe you're new to one of these chatbots, I'd say give it a try. Take a few minutes right now. Steve has put the links to ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude into the chat. And go ahead and try asking it to generate a text for you. There's sample prompts here on the screen you could use, or a prompt of your own. And after you've done that, come back to the Zoom chat and tell us how it went. What's your reaction? Did it produce what you wanted? I'll give you a few minutes to try that if you wish. 3 minutes. All right, so we're starting to see a few responses from people telling us what they did in the chat. All right, so right, let us know what tool you tried, what you did with it, how pleased were you or not? Maybe it doesn't produce what you thought it was going to. Okay. So Shanice Watson used Copilot. All right, so that's another chat bot. Okay, Darla tried Claude AI. Jenny, who is my coworker, used Gemini. Jenny loves Gemini. Leva, hi Leva, long time no see. You used Google, okay.
Well, Laurie, I don't know if you wanted to take a question now or wait. We did have a question asked about, do you have a preference of an AI tool for the fluency passages? And a follow-up to that is, what are the differences between the bots, the benefits?
Mhm. Yeah, so thanks, Steve, for asking. Sure, I can answer that. So, my preference for generating text, I typically would just use either ChatGPT or Gemini, just because I have a habit of using them, not because really they do a better job than another. In terms of the differences, you'll find that on some tasks that you ask of a chatbot, they will all be very similar. Other things may be different. So, for example, later on, I'm going to show you, well, in a minute, we're going to look at generating a reader's theater script for fluency practice. And I tried it in a few different chatbots. Well, I happened to like the product of Gemini's better than what the others produced. When, a few minutes ago, the very first demonstration that I gave, when I asked ChatGPT, how can you help me teach phonics to my students? When I asked that in Gemini, it just listed some activities. It did not tell me how it could help me. So in that case, I really liked ChatGPT's response better. So I don't have a real, a crisp answer to give as far as, what the differences are and which one is the best. I would say it takes a little experimenting and playing. I would say try 2 or 3 different chatbots and see what happens. Okay. So we have lots of great examples coming in through the chat of things going on. All right. So Syed is asking about DeepSeek. DeepSeek is another chatbot. It is very similar to ChatGPT. I've used it. Some people are trying this, trying that. If you already have an account somewhere, that might be the one you gravitate to, so I would say, we're all learning. AI is new. It's new for our field to use AI, and we're all learning together. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to move on and show you a tool that could be helpful for students who are working on the accuracy end of their fluency. So making sure that they're reading words accurately and pronouncing them correctly while they're reading. So the Microsoft Reading Coach, it works like this. You paste your text onto the website, and the student reads the text aloud into the microphone on their device. Okay, so their mobile device, their computer, whatever. And then the reading coach evaluates their accuracy, how well they pronounce the individual words, and then is going to tell them which words they need practice on and give them some supported practice with those words. So I admit it is limited in what it does in terms of supporting our fluency work, but it's a nifty tool. And if you are in the position of working on accuracy with your students, or you have students who really need particular practice with that, this might be a tool to show them. They can make adjustments in font size and background color and screen appearance and things like that. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here's Reading Coach. You do need a Microsoft account to use it. An account can be created. I am logged into my account, and I have already pasted in my National Moldy Cheese Day text, and I have gotten, and I've done some reading and I got my results, but now I want to read again. So let's say, I'm a student, I'm coming back into my account. I want to read again. Here's my text. Okay, it's been pasted in. Now, before I start reading, I want to show you some of the features here. Okay, no, not start reading. Stop. I clicked the wrong thing. Very sorry. Let's do read again. And I'm not going to start reading. I'm going to tell it no, not yet, because I want to show you some of the features that students can control. So the text is here on the screen, but I can go up here to text preference and I can adjust the size of the text on the screen. Very easy, okay? Make it smaller, bigger, just by sliding a spacer on there. I can choose a different font if I want. This is Sitka. It's a serif font. Maybe I don't want a serif font. It's easier for me to read a sans serif. So, okay, there's Calibri. I can decide if I want a different background color. All right. Some people have sensitivity to the background color. So voila. I can go up here to grammar options. I can ask it to show me the syllables. All right. This is pretty cool. Now it might be distracting for some readers. So I'm going to turn the syllables off. If I wanted to highlight parts of speech, maybe I'm also teaching some grammar here. I've got ESOL students or whatever. I could take a text, highlight, let's say, I'm going to highlight the verbs in here in red. I could project this in my classroom and have my students doing something with the verb tenses, talking about them, noticing them, things like that. Not necessarily for fluency practice, but for other work. Reading preferences. I can choose my line focus. I can read a single line at a time, 3 lines at a time, or the entire page. Okay, so now when I'm ready to read, I just click the microphone. It gives me the prompt to start reading and counts me down. October 9th marks National Moldy Cheese Day, a special day for cheese lovers everywhere. This holiday celebrates some of the world's most famous and delicious cheeses that are, and I have to scroll down, made with mold on purpose. Okay, so now I feel like I've read enough. I stop it and it tells me my accuracy, 10%, okay? Gives me words to practice. And when I click practice words, I can practice any of these words. It will pronounce it for me.
Press the microphone and read the word out loud.
All right, so
Famous,
I can hear it
famous,
many times.
famous.
All right, and when I'm ready, I can say it out loud. So again, somewhat limited in what it can do for us with fluency practice, but pretty nifty. So we're going to take a look at another tool that is just really a wonderful text-to-speech tool. It's called Natural Reader. For fluency work, students are going to need to hear what fluent reading sounds like. And if you've given them a text, they should hear a model of it before they practice it. That's a particular technique for teaching fluency. And this tool provides that kind of text-to-speech with a choice of different AI voices that are very natural sounding, okay? All you have to do is paste in the text, and you can watch the text while you're listening to the AI bot read the voice, read the text. And this can be used as a mobile app or even as a Chrome extension on a computer. Before I show you Natural Reader, I will just mention this is not the only tool that can provide audio. So Adobe does that, ChatGPT, Gemini, probably any number of other chatbots will provide audio for a text that you paste in. Okay, so this is not by far the only text-to-speech tool, but I happen to like its simplicity and its choice of AI voices. It's very nice. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. This is free. I have, this is the landing page, okay? And it shows you it shows you the different readers, all right? Not their actual photos, but I'm going to let you hear a few of these just so you get an idea. So let's hear Jessica.
I understand, and I'm here to help sort that out for you. Let's go through the details together, and we'll have it taken care of in no time.
All right, let's go down and let's hear Michael.
A gentle melancholy weighed on her heart, woven from memories of a time when laughter echoed through these very meadows. She traced the delicate petals of a forgotten daisy, lost in thought until a soft voice broke the silence.
All right, so there are lots of voices to choose from, and a student using this to get a model of fluent reading can try different voices. I'm just gonna go down here to the Get Started for Free button, click that, and give it a second to load. And I have already pasted in, previous to this webinar, our Moldy Cheese Day text, okay? You could paste in a different text, right? And you'll notice up here in the bar at the top that there is an icon of one of the voices that I've selected. I've chosen Ava. Now, if a student wanted to change the voice, they could select any of these, and there are very succinct descriptions of these people's voices. They're not real people, they're chatbots, okay? So we have Adam, he has a deep, engaging voice. Evelyn, soft and emotional. Lola, calm, warm. Louis, confident, probably authoritative or something. All right, I chose Ava, bright and engaging. I will point out also these voices read in 90 different languages. Okay, so if your students are working on reading skills in other languages, you can point that out to them. They can use this tool. We're gonna keep Ava here, and when I'm ready, all I need to do is click the start, the play button at the top, and she's gonna read the text. And I want you to listen to how natural it sounds.
National Moldy Cheese Day, a celebration of funky flavors. October 9th marks National Moldy Cheese Day, a special day for cheese lovers everywhere. This holiday celebrates some of the world's most famous and delicious cheeses that are made with mold on purpose. When most people think of mold, they picture something gross growing on old bread. But in the cheese world, mold is actually a good thing.
All right, so you get the idea. She will read the entire text. Now, let's say you need to hear that a little bit more slowly. You can't, keep up reading along while you're listening, and you want to practice reading with it or something like that. We can adjust the speed. Okay, so down here is a little bar. I can make it faster if I want, or I can make it slower, slightly slower, or choose 0.78 times, I would not go any slower than this. I'll let you hear it once and you'll see it will tend to distort the sound of the reading a bit too much, I think, for what our students will find helpful. But this isn't too bad.
But in the cheese world, mold is actually a good thing. Cheesemakers use special types of safe mold to create amazing flavors and textures that people have enjoyed for hundreds of years.
All right. So you, as fluent readers yourself, could probably tell that this was, you know, a machine-made voice. But it's pretty natural, isn't it? I mean, okay, so we're asking to boost the volume.
One of the natural readers was low, but it hasn't been a problem since then, Laurie.
Okay.
Everything's okay.
Okay, all right. So, and I see a question that just came in, if I use Magic School AI, and I'm actually going to show that in a few minutes. So we will get to that. So the natural reader, I think, is a very nice tool when you need that text-to-speech modeling for fluency. All right, so we're going to go back, and I'm not going to demonstrate this, but just to plant the seed in your mind, Reader's Theater is a great way to practice fluency. It's, you know, giving a script to your students that they read aloud with, you know, dramatic reading, that kind of thing. But also from personal experience, it is a mission impossible to find Reader's Theater scripts that are just what you want for your students at the right level, the right length, the right number of characters, a topic that is for adults, you know, all of that kind of thing. And AI chatbots are brilliant at being able to create script for you. So you can use a prompt like what you see on the screen to tell the chatbot to write a theater script for you. And, you know, in this prompt, I've indicated how long the script should take, you know. You could tell it a topic that you wanted, you know, maybe you want a script that is between, you know, that's a job interview at a company, or maybe it's a, you know, I don't know, a community event of some kind, or, you know, whatever. You put in what level is it going to be appropriate for your students, and anything else, and it will create a lovely script. So you can try this for yourself. I liked a script that that Gemini gave for me, but I want to keep going and be able to show you a few other things. So vocabulary, teaching word meanings. AI can do lots of things for us along these lines. One of the tasks that we're faced with is deciding which words to teach. And especially if you are working with students on academic vocabulary, or what are sometimes called tier 2 words, you can find yourself kind of, you know, overwhelmed sometimes. You know, how do I choose words? How do I select words out of a particular text that my students should work on? That kind of thing. I found excellent advice from Elfrieda Hebert, who is a reading researcher, in one of her blog posts. She says we have to choose the words that convey central ideas in the current text and potentially in future texts. So not only teaching the words that are, you know, in the text we have today, but words that our students are going to need and find in many other reading encounters. So I thought that was good to keep in mind. And then to select words, ask yourself, is the word useful? Will students encounter it often? And is it necessary for the comprehension of this text and other texts that students will read in the future inside and outside of class? Well, you can ask yourself those questions. You could ask the chatbot those questions, and it can help you choose the words. So, for example, in ChatGPT, you could follow these steps, and I would do these as separate prompts. Okay. So first, you're going to paste in a text, and you're going to list the academic or tell it to list the academic words from the text. And then it's going to give you the list. And then you're going to go back and you're going to say, can you help me identify which of these words would be challenging and which will extend and which are useful and frequently used? Okay. And it's going to give you that list. And then that list might be too many words for you to teach in your vocabulary lesson. So maybe then you want to go back and say, could you reduce that to, what you think are the 10 most important, or the 8, or, the 12, or, whatever. So I'm going to show you my ChatGPT response that I got when I did that sequence of prompts. So I had pasted in a text about Earth Day, and just give it a second here. There we go. And I have to go back up to the top to show you. So I had pasted in this text about Earth Day. Okay. And this was at about a 6th grade level. And I had asked it to choose the academic or tier 2 words. All right. And it gave me this list. And it told me that these words are not highly specialized tier 3 words. I didn't ask about that, but it told me. And then I went back and I asked the second prompt. I said, can you help me identify which words would be challenging and will extend beyond this text and which are useful and frequently used? So look at it, it validates my approach. Great approach. Well, thank you, ChatGPT. So, and then it gave me its list. All right. And I didn't even ask it, but it gave me simple meanings for each of the words that it chose. And it said it's going to support students' reading comprehension across multiple subjects. And then would I like any more activities? And at that point I said, yes, give me 2 separate activities. And it gave me some. Okay. Some word connections. We're not going to really take a look, but you can see it readily produces what we want and makes excellent selections. Okay. Very nice selections here. Right? Magic School AI, somebody asked a minute ago. Magic School AI is one of the earliest AI-powered tools for teachers. And it was created for K-12 teachers, but there are many uses for adult educators as well. And AI is kind of a middleman. That's how I see it. I'm sorry, Magic School AI is a middleman. You don't have to put the raw prompts in the way that you do with ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or one of those. It has already anticipated the kinds of prompts that teachers would need, and it offers kind of ready-made tasks that you can do. So Magic School AI has many things. This is its homepage, and I have signed in to my account. And when I scroll down, it's got all of these different things it can do. It's got Arena, that Arena answers questions. It has tool recommendations, image generator, worksheet generator, writing feedback, text rewriter, blah, 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 blah. So many, okay? Way too many for me to show you today. One of the things that I like in it that is useful for vocabulary instruction, since we're talking about that, is a tool that's called vocabulary-based texts. I have already saved it into my favorites, and I'll show you what that looks like, vocabulary-based text. So here, all you need to do is choose a grade level, okay? I'll just keep it at 6th grade, let's say. You can choose text length. I'm going to go to 1 page. And you put in the vocabulary you want. So I've already made my vocabulary list, and I'm going to pop that in there. So I want a text that uses my vocabulary words: obtain, significant, alternative, feature, and consistent. All right. And the topic of the text is going to be Indigenous Peoples Day, because that's coming up on Monday. All right. And when I'm ready to go, I just click generate and wait for the magic to happen. And here we go. It's given me a text, and my vocabulary words are included in the text. Okay. So, you know, I could go back and edit this. I could copy and paste this into, you know, another tool. I can get activities. I can do all kinds of other things. But I wanted a chance to just show you Magic School AI if you're not familiar with it. It's a nice way to kind of get acquainted with AI without having to do all the heavy work of thinking up your own prompts. So that's Magic School AI. The last thing I want to say about vocabulary and AI tools is that often we want our students to use use our target vocabulary orally, and sometimes use it in writing for vocabulary practice. So we need those prompts, those discussion prompts and those writing prompts. And sometimes, you know, you're like, my brain is full, I can't think of a great prompt. Leave it to AI. So you can ask your favorite chatbot to produce prompts using your particular vocabulary words. So here's the example. You know, I want my students to practice using these prompts in writing. Do include that you have adult students, okay? I've asked it, can you give me 2 questions for each of these words that would be interesting for a discussion or as a writing topic, all right? And here is just a couple of examples that ChatGPT produced for me that I thought were pretty good. They'd be very interesting, okay? What is something you'd like to obtain in the next year, and how do you plan to achieve it, all right? So there's our word, obtain, okay? Feature, what features do you look for when choosing, you know, a product? You know, if you could design a community center, what features would you include? I mean, these would be great discussions, right? Great prompts for writing. So, and it took only, you know, it took ChatGPT like 5 seconds to come up with these. So, you know, let ChatGPT do that kind of creative work for you. So let's talk about ChatGPT for comprehension. So often, you know, when we are working on comprehension, we want to generate test practice questions, giving students practice in the way that they're going to encounter on our standardized tests, you know, TABE and CASAS, goals and steps, and, you know, things like that. You can ask the chatbot to produce questions for you, okay, based on a particular text that you paste in. Do tell it specifically the kinds of questions you're looking for. Are you looking for multiple choice? Are you looking for something else? What about main idea, details, author's purpose, point of view, inference? Okay, those are all skills that our standards are based on and that our standardized tests are based on. So go to ChatGPT to generate those questions. Here's a tip from my coworker, Jenny. Ask for more questions than you need so that you can weed out the wonky ones. So if you want actually 5 questions for your students to work on, ask your chatbot for 10. and you choose the 5 that you think are the best, because invariably there will be a few that are kind of weird or that don't really fit the bill. Diffit for Teachers is a lovely one of these like middleman type of AI tools, kind of like Magic School AI, more limited, but wonderful to use. So Diffit for Teachers, you will enter a topic, you will select a grade level, and it will generate resources for you. And it generates a package of resources, always the same ones. And those are here in this bulleted list. So it will automatically, you don't have to tell it to do this. It will provide the text and the sources of where it got that information, okay, if it's a nonfiction text. It will give you some summary statements that you might use in various ways as you're working on comprehension. It will provide key vocabulary with definitions and examples, multiple choice questions, short answer questions, and open-ended prompts. Okay, so all of these could be very useful in your teaching and your students' practice with comprehension. Okay, I am going to go out and just show you Diffit because no, I must have taken Diffit down. Okay, we're going to go out to Diffit. Takes a minute. Come on up. I had it up earlier, then I didn't think we'd have time. Then, okay. So you don't need to invite more people right now to try Diffit. So what am I teaching? Let's say I'm teaching finding, oh, come on. Text, don't worry about misspellings. It will understand you, okay? You can choose the language. Of course, we're keeping English. I can choose a reading level. For this demonstration, we'll keep it at 5th grade, but you see it offers you different levels. I would say do not bother with the Align to Skills and Standards. It does not have our adult education CCRS standards or ELP standards in there. I wouldn't bother with that, okay? Generate a reading type. Do I want informational text or fictional? I'm going for informational, okay? I want pages today, okay? And I'm gonna just click generate reading sources. I'm gonna say I want about Indigenous Peoples Day. Okay, give it a topic, right? While I'm waiting, it's offering me a few tips on how to use this site to best advantage. And in a second, it's going to generate its full package. So it will give you an image, okay? It gives you the text, okay? Here's our summary statements. So you might ask your students to produce summary statements and compare them to the ones that Diffit produced, or you might use these to introduce the topic, or any number of things. Here's some vocabulary. Okay, you can modify these. You can change the activity. So you're never stuck with what it produces, but it gives you that start, that liftoff platform, right? Vocabulary, I keep going down. Here's some multiple choice questions, all right? Again, I can modify, I can add questions, all right? According to the passage, what is one key detail? All right, so it took into account, I'm working on main idea and I'm working on key details. If I had put inference in there, it would have done different questions. Here's my short answer questions. Okay. Great, a think, pair, share. Okay, so I didn't ask it to do all this. It does these activities automatically. The 5 W's. This is a informational text, okay? We can use a 5W like organizer. Who was involved? Where did it happen? Great comprehension activity. All right. And then I can add more activities if I want. Diffit has a paid version, so that means, you know, I need like the premium version to get some of these other things. But look at what the free version does. Pretty extraordinary, right? So that's Diffit. I really encourage you to explore that for yourself. Now, the last is Padlet TA, and I only heard about this a couple weeks ago. And Padlet TA, so if you're familiar with Padlet, and I'm sure many of you already use Padlet, Padlet TA is Padlet Teaching Assistant, and it has a limited number of things it can do for you. But the three that I think are particularly helpful for comprehension reading instruction are the text leveler, which allows you to put in a text. You can upload a file, you can pop in a PDF, link to something, link to some, you know, a text that's already on the internet, whatever. It can generate a new text for you, like many chatbots can. And it can also generate slides with images and with videos embedded. It's very, very cool. I'm going to show you Padlet TA, and just a couple of these things. You do need to like set up an account, but it's free. Okay, you can use your Padlet account if you have one. So it does, you know, it'll do lesson plans, different things. Here's the text leveler. So in the text leveler, it already knows I'm teaching adult basic education, 5th grade reading level. I'm going to paste in a link to a real interesting article I found online about the Illinois State Fair butter cow. All right, now, if you don't know what a butter cow is, it is a life-size cow made out of butter that makes an appearance at annual state fairs, including Illinois State Fair. So here I go, I'm going to generate, and it's going to take this original text and make it into a 5th grade level text. Okay. And I chose butter cow because I was in Washington, D.C. last week. I went to a museum. They had an exhibit on state fairs, and there was a butter cow from the Iowa State Fair in a refrigerated display case. It was fascinating. So, and the same artist that did that created our Illinois State butter cow this year. So here it has rewritten the text at a 5th grade level. So how's that? You know, pretty nice. I could regenerate. I could ask for a different level. So this is great for comprehension work. Let's say you've got students in your class, you've got like 3 different reading level groups. You want them all to read about butter cows, but at an appropriate level. So you generate a text, let's say at the 4th grade level, another one at the 6th, and another one at the 8th, and pass that out to your reading groups, have them do some activity. So easy, right? So that's the text leveler. I also want to show you what a nifty job it did with the slides. So for this, I'm going to go into my history because I already produced these. And where's my, oh, I have to view all because I guess I did a few other things in here. I wanted to do Indigenous Peoples Day presentation. I just want to show you real quick what it did. So this on the left is what I told it to do. 5th grade level, the topic was Indigenous Peoples Day, summarizing content, and I wanted a 10-minute presentation. Because I'm thinking to myself, I want to introduce this topic before I have my students do this reading comprehension activity about it. So it gave me these slides. It put its own images in here. So some slides are text only, some have images. This one has a video already embedded in it. Okay. So some very nice slides, few reflection questions that I might use, right? And I just liked how it did this. And these can be exported right away to Google Slides. You can share them, you can duplicate them. So again, Padlet TA is fairly simple in what it can do. It's not as built out as some of these other AI tools, but good to know about. So couple things after this, just to mention AI privacy. Don't share personal identifying information with a chatbot, okay? And that includes these things. You need to tell that to your students as well, right? When you're using AI, I think it's important to also teach AI responsibility to your students. Always check your own institution's AI policy for guidelines. Institutions more and more are creating guidelines for the use of AI during instruction and in the classroom and stuff like that. You want to design activities that give students practice using AI in an ethical and responsible way, of course. And I think you want to teach students to use AI as a tool that supports their learning, both, with learning inside the classroom, but also as a tool for their own use outside the classroom. I mean, I use AI outside of my work for personal uses. Why shouldn't our students? Okay. And also think about designing activities in which students use AI for practice, but then they perform the skills that they learned during class. So they're not, so-called like cheating with AI. You're able to see that they are gaining the reading skills that you want them to gain, but they are able to use the AI tool for practice of different kinds. So that is it for my presentation. And Steve has put into the chat a message that if you'd like more information, you can reach me at my email and I'll be happy to answer. So Celia is asking, can we use the same account in and out of school? And I would say it depends. If you have a school account, you may be able to access it outside of school. If you have a personal account, I don't know if you are able to access that within your school system or not. So you'll have to maybe ask the IT people at your institution what's possible. Right? If
Laurie,
there
we
are-
had one question, and
Mhm.
Christine had asked which AI tool is your favorite, or maybe you have favorites depending upon task. If you want to tackle that question, please.
Okay, sure. So I tend to use ChatGPT the most. I would say ChatGPT and Gemini are my favorites, just generally speaking. But when I was first exposed to AI, like a year ago or so, I was really, I gravitated toward Magic School AI because it was so easy to use. As I learned more about AI and learned how to, do prompts myself, then I got used to just using ChatGPT and Gemini. I have sometimes asked both of them to do the same thing, to compare their answers, and sometimes I like one answer better than another. I know that some people have preferred one tool over another for math in particular, but I'm sorry, I don't know which one is best for math. I don't teach math and have much to do with that. I would say the AI tools, the AI chatbots, the AI platforms, they are all changing all the time. And what they do for you today, and that maybe is not quite that great, try it again in a couple weeks and you may find that they've already improved that feature. Many chatbots were not good at producing images a year ago, and now the image production is much better. So just as an example. All right.
Great, Laurie. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the outstanding information that you shared. And thank you everyone for attending the webinar today, and look forward to seeing you on a future COABE webinar. But such great information, Laurie. Thank you for sharing. And we look forward to seeing everyone at a future webinar. And we hope that you have a wonderful and outstanding rest of your Thursday.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, COABE.